If Lewis stayed at Mercedes, it kind of, if they won races next year or didn't win races, it would have been good. But having this shift to Ferrari is massive.
When Leo Torini broke Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari move, the paddock called it fantasy. On February 1st, 2024, they learned he was right.
Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix!
On July 14th, Torini published another bombshell. Max Verstappen has an October deadline. 3 days later, Verstappen's manager said 5 words that should terrify Red Bull. Max was not born to drive in the midfield. A 4-time world champion, 7th in the standings, and an exit clause that's already triggered. Here is a manager representing a 4-time world champion, sitting 7th in the standings, publicly stating that his client is too good for the car he is being given. Here is a manager confirming, on the record, that the exit clause is triggered. Here is a manager who says he wants to stay loyal but refuses to rule out leaving. And here is what almost nobody is connecting. Verstappen warned the sport about the 2026 regulations. The sport ignored him. He was proven right. His team then overruled his judgment at Silverstone. They refused to let him start from the pit lane, and he spun into the gravel.
Max Verstappen from the podium! Unbelievable!
They have brought one meaningful upgrade all season. Their engine is frozen until 2028 while every rival develops. The technical leadership is gone. And the ownership tried to buy out his exit clause and failed. This is not a contract dispute. This is the slow-motion collapse of Formula One's most dominant partnership. Told through the 3 forces that are pulling it apart: the rules he warned about, the car that cannot be fixed, and the team that no longer listens to him. Let's examine what Raymond Vermeulen actually said, because the full quote is far more revealing than the headlines suggest. We have a contract until 2028. Of course, there are exit clauses. There have always been, but we have never exercised one. On the contrary, we have always been loyal and will remain so. We want to continue down this path with Red Bull, and Max wants to end his career here. But of course, with the possibility of winning, we have always been loyal. We will remain so. Max wants to end his career here. Then, but, with the possibility of winning, that is not a throwaway. That is the condition. Every statement of loyalty is immediately qualified by a performance requirement. We want to stay, but staying requires winning, and right now, Red Bull is not winning. Then came the line that should echo through every floor of the Milton Keynes factory. Max Verstappen was not born to drive in the midfield. A 4-time world champion, in his prime, 103 points off the championship lead, being told by his own manager, publicly, on the record, that this is beneath him. But the most important part of the interview is what Vermeulen did not say. He did not rule out exercising the exit clause. He confirmed the clause exists. He confirmed it has been triggered. He confirmed they have chosen not to use it in the past. But when asked directly whether they would use it now, he did not answer. Silence. From both driver and manager. That is not a denial. It is a door, left open, deliberately, as the October deadline approaches. Now let's talk about what happened in Salzburg. In mid-June, 1 month before Vermeulen's interview, Max Verstappen and Raymond Vermeulen sat down with the most powerful people in the Red Bull empire. Mark Mateschitz, son of late founder Dietrich, representing the Austrian family that owns 49% of the company. Chalerm Uvidya, the Thai majority owner. Oliver Mintzlaff, the sporting director. Laurent Mekies, the team principal. The purpose of the meeting: Red Bull's ownership wanted to buy out the exit clause. They wanted to pay Verstappen to remove his escape route. They wanted to close the door permanently. They failed. No agreement was reached. Ownership left the meeting, according to sources, frustrated and irritated. Verstappen was asked directly whether he was committed to Red Bull. He refused to give a verbal commitment. Not a yes, not even a maybe. He simply refused to answer. Think about the sequence. In June, Red Bull's ownership tries to buy out the exit clause and fails. Their star driver will not even give them a verbal commitment. In July, his manager goes public and says Verstappen was not born to drive in the midfield. The exit clause is triggered. The October deadline is approaching. These are not disconnected events. This is a driver who holds all the leverage and a team scrambling to keep him. To understand why Verstappen's frustration runs so deep, you have to go back 3 years. Max Verstappen is the single most vocal critic of the 2026 Formula One regulations. He earned that title starting in 2023, before the cars had been tested, before any team had built a prototype, before anyone knew what the new formula would feel like to drive. He warned that the energy management demands would turn races into battery deployment contests. He predicted drivers would be forced to downshift on straights to regenerate power. He said the active aerodynamics would create dangerous handling at high speed. He described the entire formula as not very Formula One-like and anti-racing. Then, the 2026 cars hit the track. By the Chinese Grand Prix, the second race of the season, Verstappen had seen enough. His words to ESPN on March 15th. "It's still terrible. If someone likes this, then you really don't know what racing is about. It's not fun at all. It's playing Mario Kart. This is not racing." He continued, "Look at the racing. You are boosting past, then you run out of battery the next straight. They boost past you again. For me, it's just a joke." And then the line that should have made every Formula One executive stop and listen. "I hope they don't think like that, because it will eventually ruin the sport. It will come and bite them back in the ass." The FIA was forced into emergency regulatory intervention before the season even started. Ride height modifications, aero mapping patches, battery deployment remapping. The great regulatory reset was held together with emergency fixes, exactly as Verstappen had warned. Now sit in his cockpit for a moment. You told the entire sport, publicly, repeatedly, starting in 2023, that these cars would be dangerous and terrible. You were ignored. You were proven right in a way that required the FIA to rewrite the rules mid-season. And the team that employed you, the team you won 4 championships for, built a car that is 3rd or 4th fastest. That has failed dangerously in 2 consecutive weekends. Raymond Vermeulen's words echo with new weight now. Not born to drive in the midfield. Not after warning everyone what would happen and being proven right. Here is where this stops being about a slow car and becomes about something more fundamental. Trust the Austrian Grand Prix, Verstappen's home race. The rear wing fails during qualifying. He goes into the gravel, Silverstone, 8 days later. The same component fails again. He spins at Stowe, a terrifying place to lose a car, one of the fastest corners in Formula One. He had called the car's lack of balance his word. Embarrassing, and then Verstappen made a specific request. He wanted to start from the pit lane. That would allow the team to make modifications to the car that are not permitted for a normal grid start. Changes he believed would fix the handling problems. A 4-time world champion, telling his engineers exactly what the car needed, with a clear plan to execute it. His team overruled him. They said no. They sent him to the grid, with the car he had told them was not right. And he spun into the gravel. How do you trust that team again? The one upgrade Red Bull did bring, at Spielberg, on the rear of the car, actually worked. Verstappen finished second, his best result in months. But as Verstappen himself would say, One functioning upgrade and two catastrophic failures is not progress. It is a pattern. Combine this with what ESPN's Nate Saunders reported. Red Bull has brought no meaningful upgrades since the Spanish Grand Prix. The development pipeline has dried up. The cost cap money was spent on emergency fixes after pre-season testing. The technical department, hollowed out by the departures of Adrian Newey, Rob Marshall, Jonathan Wheatley, cannot produce new parts. And now, in the words of De Telegraaf, the Dutch newspaper closest to the Verstappen family, the driver appears to be on a collision course with his team, and vice versa. The short-term problem is a car that cannot be trusted. The long-term problem is an engine that cannot be improved. On June 7th, the FIA released its first ADUO determination. The system designed to keep engine competition close in the new regulation era. They measured every manufacturer's power unit against a performance index. Torque, engine speed, MGU-K power, lap time sensitivity. They ranked them all. Red Bull came first. The FIA judged Red Bull's in-house power unit, their first ever Formula One engine program, built from scratch with Ford at Milton Keynes, as the best on the grid. That sounds like a triumph. It is actually a trap. Under ADUO rules, the manufacturer ranked first gets 0 upgrades. Their engine is frozen for the rest of 2026 and all of 2027. Mercedes, judged roughly 2% behind, gets 1 development upgrade this year and 1 next year. Ferrari, Honda, and Audi, more than 4% behind, get 2 upgrades this year and 2 next year. Think about what that means. Red Bull, a first-time engine manufacturer with no institutional experience in power unit development, is locked at their current performance level. Meanwhile, Mercedes, who have dominated the first half of 2026, get to improve. Ferrari gets to improve twice over. Honda and Audi get 2 development opportunities each. The Athletic reported the consequence in plain terms. Red Bull's rivals can keep developing their engines while Red Bulls are frozen. Lewis Hamilton confirmed the development timeline. An engine upgrade takes 8 to 10 months. The upgrades are not immediate, but they are coming. By early 2027, Mercedes and Ferrari will have upgraded engines on track. Red Bulls will be exactly the same. The gap will close. It is mathematically guaranteed, and Red Bull can do nothing to stop it. Now reread Vermeulen's words with this context. We want to continue down this path with Red Bull, but of course with the possibility of winning. There is no possibility of winning in 2027 with a frozen engine. None. The ADUO ruling guarantees that by mid-2027, every rival power unit will have closed the gap and passed it. The engine is good now. That is the trap. Being good now and frozen means being behind later. And Verstappen is smart enough to read a trajectory. He has no upgrades in 2026. He has no upgrades in 2027. Every rival gets better. He stays the same. If Verstappen leaves, where does he go? Mercedes and Ferrari have no seats available. That leaves one option, the team with the fastest car on the grid. The team that, according to multiple paddock sources cited by ESPN and Italian media, has already had discussions with Verstappen's management, McLaren. Lando Norris is under contract until 2029. Oscar Piastri until 2028. Zak Brown, McLaren's CEO, has said both drivers have their names engraved on their race seats. And yet, the discussions have happened. The ESPN source's warning was specific. Do not downplay McLaren's interest. Piastri's manager Mark Webber called the speculation nonsense. When a team truly has no intention of changing its driver lineup, it does not issue denials. It ignores the rumours. The fact that Piastri and his manager Both felt compelled to speak, on the record, at the same race weekend. Tells you the threat is real. One more detail. Verstappen's longtime race engineer Giampiero Lambiase, the voice on the radio through every championship lap, the man who knows his driving better than anyone, is confirmed to be moving to McLaren by 2028. Lambiase to McLaren, 2028. The same year, Verstappen's contract expires. The same year, Piastri's contract expires. The October deadline is 3 months away.